I'm going to start sharing these posts.
So
Yes.
today, just so everybody knows right off the bat here, I'm having a little bit of internet issues, so I'm hoping that we can get through without it cutting out or anything. But just in case, and if we really lose it, we'll have Tom on again just in case we lose it halfway here. So, but welcome, Tom.
Yes, hello, Tom. So I'll just introduce Tom. Mr. Tom Byrne has been a business associate with us for a little while now, and he is also a podcaster. So we're excited to learn more about that industry. He's going to share that with us. And he has a website called leadgrowinnovate.com, and I will put the link in the comments for everybody so they can go check it out. And what he does is he speaks to people about leadership, mentorship, self-growth, and positivity. So welcome. So glad that you can join us today.
Yeah, very small niche market, right?
So why don't you go ahead and just give us a little bit about your background?
Well, my background comes from a hotel management situation. Actually, that's where I originated and started in management. Was back in 2000. I was a dishwasher, and I had been laid off back in Newfoundland, and I applied for a job at the Banff Springs Hotel. And 3 days later, got on a plane and flew to Alberta, and the rest is history, basically, for being out around in Alberta. But that started to grow, and I started to realize that I had some leadership capabilities in me. And when I first applied to become a supervisor, I failed miserably in my interview process, and they told me I didn't have management potential. And that was a drive then to say, well, no, that's not the case. I know I can do this, and it was a push to become better and learn, and I started learning. And before I knew it, I was working at a different hotel, and I was the assistant chief steward running an entire crew of dishwashers and janitorial, operating throughout a massive hotel.
Wow.
And then from there, I moved into Calgary, and again, same idea, moved up in management till finally one of the things I was doing was actually I'd moved back to Newfoundland, and I was running the West Coast for food and beverage for a hotel chain. So I had climbed up through, but sadly my house didn't sell here in Alberta. So I had to come back. I had to give up that job. And I, funny enough, walked into a grocery store and asked for a position, and they hired me on the spot. So I started doing overnights, and within 2 years, I was one of the fastest people to climb the chain in this retail. And I was an assistant manager for an entire store at that point. So within 2 years of joining the company, I had climbed basically exponentially to a point where there was only one person in the store running above me. And that again came from that drive, that ambition to be a better leader and a better manager that someone had placed in me unknowingly by telling me I had no management potential.
Got it.
That's my background. That's my story. Why I talk management and leadership, really.
Yeah.
It was.
And just, we want everybody to know that Tom is one of the people that is still working on the front lines and in grocery, keeping us all fed throughout all this. So thank you very much for doing that.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
I want to actually emphasize it's my wife who's the true hero. She's the one that's in the stores right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm lucky enough to be home based.
Oh, good.
But
your family is involved with it, so that's.
I can't express how proud I am and how thankful I am of the team and what they do in these grocery stores. You know, all the front line and first responders, doctors and nurses.
Yeah,
you can't thank them enough right now.
Everybody that's on the front lines to me is just a hero through this, because they don't. Yes, they have a choice, I guess, but if they decided to stay home like the rest of us, things just wouldn't be carrying on, like the basic things that you need. So they're heroes, these days. Total heroes in my eyes, for sure.
For sure, I agree.
Oh, Lindsay, we can't hear you.
Sorry, the kids were screaming in the background.
I can hear Calvin going up there, yeah. That's my move. That non-muting thing. That's my move. Don't steal that.
I stole it for a day.
Try talking for 35 minutes in a podcast and realizing you don't have your microphone on.
Oh no.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, man. So why don't you get into the podcasting little bit? What made you decide to go that route?
It was a natural progression for me. So this almost probably just over 1 year ago, Allison and I decided we were going to try some form of home-based or online business. So we started out with um, something that a friend of us had shown us about, and you both know the business. I won't go into the business, but it's basically the same business that you guys are in.
Yeah.
And we tried it. And through the course of it, we started doing something that was a 90-day video challenge. And it was just something that we did as a group. And I think, Lindsay, you remember that 90-day video challenge, perhaps? Robin,
do,
I
but
think you were involved as well.
I came in right in the middle of it, so I just,
Okay.
and I was too shy at that point.
But that was a big moment for me when I realized that as much as I have the gift of gab in meetings and I have the gift of gab in management and leadership and in the stores and in the hotels, I also had the gift of gab on camera. And I could talk to myself for an extended period of time because, well, that's what lonely people do. But it was a natural progression because I was making these videos and it became more and more natural as I was going and as I was making them.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I really enjoyed teaching at the same time.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just telling my story. I was actually trying to find something that would be teachable, or I would give value in the process of what I was saying. And through that course, I just started getting better and better at speaking. And because I could critique myself so often on camera as well, watching myself, I would catch my "so this" or you start to catch your catchphrases.
Yeah.
And so the course of the year progressed, and I found myself being a better and better and better and better speaker. And now I'm 22 episodes into a podcast, and when I go to edit it, I hardly have to touch the ums and the so's and the everything else that you get, because you get accustomed to your microphone, you get accustomed to speaking, but you also get used to looking at a camera instead of looking at the screen sometimes as well, and that kind of stuff. So it becomes very natural. And that progression, that one little thing, just by joining the MLM and then doing that speaking challenge, then opened my eyes to, okay, there's other avenues. So then I started to really start to research, and I realized we were going to go the route of YouTube. And through researching, I realized how much volume and how hard it is to get into YouTube at the moment and how to break in. It's darn near impossible. And for the average person that makes 20, 25-minute video, 5 minutes watched is actually considered a very big success.
Wow.
But podcasting, if you talk for 25, 30 minutes, the average listener listens for 25 to 30 minutes.
Wow.
Get your message out.
Yeah.
And there's also only 1 million people doing podcasts at the moment, not 1 billion like YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So it's a much more niche market again.
Yeah.
So there was a better opportunity to get my story out and to teach and to get my lessons and things that I wanted to create and share with people through 20 years of management experience. How can I teach people to become better leaders? How can I train managers to no longer manage, but to lead people to success?
Yeah.
And that was a big part of it for me.
Yeah.
But then as well, it was positivity and self-growth is key in leadership. And people seem to not dwell or understand that concept, that when we develop ourselves and we become proud of who we are and we begin to love ourselves, that shows through. And that comes through as confidence and strength. And in leadership roles, when you're confident and you have that self-love and strength, it's a lot easier to get people to follow you because you have that ability and that self-worth and just true confidence that's going to shine, and people are going to want to be around you and follow you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where my story and my idea for the podcast came out. So then I sat down to a microphone and I started learning. And I realized how really easy it is and how many free services and things like that are out there that make it accessible. And then as I progressed, I started paying for things, but I figured out a way to do it for almost 9 weeks before I actually had to pay for anything. And I got to test it and see if I actually enjoy doing this or not. So it was a progression, yes, but something that I dreamed of doing for a long time. It was just a matter of, I finally got a kick in the bum and did it.
I know for us, like Tyler and I have listened to your 14. I know we need to do some catching up, but we don't get into but we have listened to your podcast and we really enjoy it. Like you do have a lot of really good things to say, and we do take a lot away from each episode that you do. But I know that you talked a little bit too about how you notice the and the ands and the editing and stuff, but even just the way that you project yourself from the first episode to the 14th episode, there is a difference there.
Well, it's like anything in life, the practice, it comes. And a dream of mine eventually is to take this podcast and actually be on stage in front of a crowd, doing a live show, speaking my message, and having the opportunity to become a public speaker and become more than just a podcaster, a guy behind a microphone. I want to create courses. I want to expand on what I'm doing, but it all starts with a little seed, right? Big trees grow from small seeds. So we all start at one point, and now we grow our tree.
Yeah.
And that's where I am now. I'm growing a tree.
Yeah.
So do you feel like because you got into like a business, an online business, that this kind of like, had you considered this before, or is it because of some of the training and stuff that you got that kind of went, oh, like there's this whole other, like for me, I used to be so shy and so, I've always been funny, but like I would never step out of that box and put myself like sitting here on this, I would never have done that. Mm-hmm. But getting into the business, it's kind of like you have to show people who you are and whatnot. So it's kind of cool that it took you in that direction.
It was certainly a catalyst. It was something that lit a fire, of something that was smoldering, and I knew it was something that eventually may manifest itself in me. As I say, I've always had the gift of gab, but it was a matter of finding that purpose or reason to do it. The training, yes. And as I go back to that 90-day challenge, it was practicing and practicing and practicing. Mm-hmm. But another thing that I was doing was at that time, I was really focused on sales. I have to make sales. I have to be able to make a sale. So I needed to practice how to speak so that when it came time to give my sales pitch, I sounded confident and I was able to give my sales pitch. And that's honestly where I felt, okay, well, I'm going to start podcasting because it's going to force me to publicly speak and it's going to refine my speaking. So that was how the progression and the catalyst kind of grew into each other. I would suggest it for everybody. If not a podcast, doing things like what you ladies are doing, where you're putting yourself out there, but you're forced to step out of a comfort box, and it creates that growth and the ability then to practice and hone your skill. So that, as I say, when it comes time to get on the telephone and talk to a cold client or a prospective buyer, you're not going to be stumbling over your words and well, this thing is click. I'm not buying from you. But if you sound confident, like when you're going to buy a car, confident salesperson is going to sell you a car. The guy that doesn't know the tires from the trunk, you're going to walk out. You're going to go shop elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it was that progression that fed me into then speaking.
Yeah. And I mean, you want, when you're doing, like you say, like an online business, you want people to like connect with you and understand that you're a person and, that you have a story and whatever, like you want that connection with people. So yeah, it's, I did a little bit different I actually listened to a podcast every day. And I did a 90-day challenge where I listened to the podcast and then I did like a quick little 2-minute, just to get out of my comfort zone, like a 2-minute go live. Mm-hmm. And I looked back at the very first ones and compared to like when I was at the 90 days, and like it just doesn't bother me, to be honest. So it definitely, made me more confident in
It's
every
amazing.
aspect.
You don't, when you think 90 days, it seems like such a long time, but when you hit day 80 and you realize, oh my God, it's already 80 days in, I got 10
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
It's shocking how fast 90 days can disappear.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
90 days of practice in anything creates just so much forward momentum that
Well, and
Yeah,
it's
anything. You're right. It absolutely is
yep.
true. Just to set, it's almost like it's a habit forming thing. And
Mhm.
I have never looked back. Like I am absolutely comfortable on camera. I'm more comfortable in my own skin with everything that I do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
it's great.
It's nice to review how far you've come along though, right? To go back and
Mhm.
watch those first ones because you can say like, wow, have I ever grown as an
Yeah.
individual,
Yes.
right? And you can be proud of yourself for that. It's good that we go back.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Tom, what would you say to somebody that's looking to podcast? How are they able to get into it? What would the steps be that they would take?
The first thing I'm going to say is get yourself a microphone. That was going to be, if anything, that'll be a game changer for you because now you've invested in something. You're never going to get a quality sound out of just your laptop or your iPhone headphones. If you have those, the microphones in those are surprisingly good. But use a microphone versus an ambient, say your laptop microphone. That would be number one. Um, Number two, just do it. Honest to God, just do it. There's no time like today. Most of us are trapped in our homes. What else do we have to do but learn a new skill and begin something? Um, there's businesses, there's providers out there like Buzzsprout. That's the one that I promote and I go through. These guys are amazing, but you can do 90 days of hosted and up to 2 hours per month, and it's free. So you can get a feel for it. And the average podcast dies after 7 weeks. I've now hit 22 and I'm working on 23 today. So I've beat the norm and I've like climbed the curve. So that means I've become committed to it, but I didn't commit till about 7, 8 weeks in when I knew that I was really wanted to be doing this. And that's when I spent money because my stuff was actually going to expire. And I was actually talking longer. So I was going to need more time. So that's when I spent money. But this whole thing is accessible and you can do it for free right now, today. Look me up, send me a message. I will help you get set up. It's something I like doing, is getting people going. I've already talked about, I love to teach. So the opportunity for someone to reach out to me right now and say, hey, I want to get a podcast going. How do I set up Buzzsprout? We could have you up and running in 2 hours today.
Oh, 2 hours.
2 hours, we could have you running.
Wow.
Same thing, things like Audacity out there, where you capture your audio file in Audacity. And by using Audacity, you can actually edit your sound file. And then you upload your sound file to Buzzsprout, and suddenly you're online with a podcast. And through Buzzsprout, then you can then link to all the big directors. So I'm on iTunes, I'm on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. I'm listed through them all. And it was all super easy because I used the right provider. I did my work, I did my research, and I went with the correct provider for me. Same thing when I built my webpage. I went through a provider. I went through Bluehost, and they made, again, building the webpage and getting everything linked very easy because it's very intuitive in the way that everything is provided and built. So it's doing your research, just like anything. Do your research. Go with things that feel comfortable for you, and use those things. But also, don't be afraid to reach out to people like me that have done the work and have been there and seen it, and ask for help, because I can guarantee you the podcast community, even if you don't reach out to me, but you reach out to a different podcaster that they will help you. This community is very extremely tight linked, and we only benefit from helping each other. So doing things like coming on and interviewing for this kind of thing is standard norm in the podcast world. We help each other. I interview for you guys, you interview for me, and we interchange. And that's the way the podcast community grows and becomes. So as I say, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no reason not to. It's so easy to enter into this world.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
what
Well,
hap-
there's people that just are so natural with it. And then there's people that actually have to work at it, but everybody can do it. And it's so empowering if you have something to say and something to teach,
Mm-hmm.
to overcome those things and tell your story and help people in any way that you can. And podcasting obviously is, a perfect way of sharing something like that.
But there's so many niche markets as well. If you just want to get on and tell a story,
Mhm.
or if you love true crime podcasts and you know some true crime stories and you want to get on and tell those and that kind of stuff, it's huge right now.
Yeah.
But it's a tough niche market to get in.
Yeah.
But perhaps you're really good at crochet. I can tell you right now, there's not that many crochet podcasts, but there's a ton of people that crochet.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
they're going to
there's a
listen
niche
to
for
you
everything,
because
yeah.
it's that small niche market. Oh, knitting by Granny. And if for 30 minutes, Granny tells you to stitch 1, purl 4, whatever. But people will listen to that.
Yeah.
And it's such a small niche market that you can get into it. You can grow, and before you know it, you've got 1,000 listeners.
Right.
I went into a large market. I went into management, leadership, positivity, and self-growth. I could refine that a little closer and tighter, but I don't want to because my audience is growing slowly, but it's growing. And I'm staying true to what I feel is important to speak about and teach. And for the next little while, I've actually made the statement after tomorrow's episode, it won't be so management and leadership focused. It's actually going to be more on the positivity, the self-growth, and helping people get through this isolation and quarantine. So I've actually adopted the idea that it's a quarantine, not a quarantine.
Quarantine. Great. That is a
So
great word.
I've adopted that, and now I've done simple things like go onto my Facebook page. And yesterday I put out a simple question: what's your favorite breakfast cereal? And I had 98 people respond to me because people are bored. Today I asked again, what was your favorite cartoon growing up as a kid? And so far in 4 hours, I've had 120 people respond.
Wow.
So it's just, it's people are bored. So how can we add value to people in what we're doing right now? And that's what I'm trying to do. And as well, on my group page for Lead, Grow, Innovate Community, I've also been putting out daily videos, Quaranteam videos, I call them. So I've 3 out now today, but it's just little snippets of what we can do to help each other and to emphasize the fact that as much as we're alone right now, we're never alone.
Mhm.
Social media these days connects us all. And even though we can't physically be with each other, we're still together.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of our day and age right now. We don't need to feel stir crazy or alone. We just need to learn how to reach out to each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And
that's where I'm changing my message for the next little while.
This is exactly true. Like, I mean, the social distancing and the quarantine and all that kind of thing. This is really one of the best ways to actually stay in contact. And I urge people to reach out across your social media and whatever. Like this Zoom, like Zooming, I can Zoom with my mom, she's down on the coast. I'm in central BC, and, we're still connected even though that we can't go see each other and stuff. So,
Well, I mean, things like FaceTime and Messenger, we're all accessible these days. And as much as social media has trended towards memes and trolling, and sometimes it can be downright bullying, this is essentially what it was built for back when it was created.
yes.
And this is now, I hope that the world realizes and gets back to what this was meant to be, which is a way of connecting us all,
Right.
and getting us back to where we really, start to love each other again,
Mm-hmm.
instead of attacking and using it as an opportunity to get at people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. We've got a question for you. I guess, Willie, he's asking, will you guide me into setting this up if
Of
he
course.
wants a podcaster? So
Yeah, definitely.
awesome.
They will have beneath this, when Lindsay links everything and shares everything, there'll be a link to my group page, but there'll also be a link to I believe my webpage.
I did put that in the comments already.
Just feel free to reach out to me through the community page, and then we'll get hooked up. And anybody that wants help, just send me a message. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, and if you can't find Tom, ask Robin and myself, and we'll be able to get
you just reach out, because we can always get you hooked up with Tom if you have questions and whatnot. And so that's awesome. That's so
and
good.
Robin said Bugs Bunny, Tom.
Bugs Bunny?
Does that?
Oh, Linda,
There's
she's her favorite.
A lot of people on the Looney Tunes this morning.
That's right. That's right.
So far, it's been Gummy Bears, Looney Tunes, and Transformers leading the pack today.
Wow. Looney Tunes. I'm the Looney Tune era.
Surprised me a lot, actually. A lot of people with the Smurfs. So I've been.
Oh yeah.
But the beauty of this one simple question: what's your favorite cartoon from growing up? Has all these people responding, but I'm replying to everybody. But what I'm seeing is there's actually conversations sparking amongst the people in the comments as well. Yeah. So it was as much of a social dynamic it was just to throw out a silly little question.
Yeah.
It created a community and a conversation. And that's what how simple is it? What's your favorite cartoon?
Yeah.
But look what happened.
Yeah.
Because people need interaction. They're looking for it and they're loving it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just, when I get up in the morning and just get right on my news feed, it's just people just putting out the most basic posts that they can, just asking a question, and everybody is like, you think of it that we've been online for however long, me for 2 years, to get that kind of engagement on just a regular old post like that never happened. But now everybody's looking for friendship and love and support and
but that's it. And that's as much as I'm not looking to capitalize, I'm actually just looking to give to people to brighten their day and do more. I'm sure in the process people are going to want to come check out my podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
So as much as I'm not doing it for that purpose, there's probably going to be some growth to my webpage or to my podcast from it. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm doing it not for that reason. I'm doing it just to offer value to people and just brighten somebody's day today.
Yeah.
That's
and if we do anything that we do, if we do it for the correct purpose and reason, people are going to resonate to that, and it's going to show true. And if you stay true to yourself and who you are, then you always will be yourself and who you are,
Mm-hmm.
So we only have a couple minutes left, but Tom, just one final question for you. So is there any advice that you wish you would have received when you first started doing this?
Record 3 episodes before you launch.
There you go.
Because then you're not in a situation like me today where I was supposed to launch 3 a.m. this morning. So there should be a new episode for people to go and listen to right now. But due to a 4-year-old and a mixing board situation, when I recorded for 35 minutes yesterday, as I alluded to, what my microphone picked up was nothing but a whisper. And I could not bring the volume back up. So I lost that entire episode. But now, thankfully, I've got the show notes here. I'm ready to go as soon as we're finished here. And this was excellent warm-up for my voice, which is another thing. Don't hesitate as well to take a minute and warm up your vocal cords.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Because just like a singer, they warm up in the back room, they warm up backstage, they warm up in their dressing room, whatever the case be. Like a muscle, you've actually got to stretch it. You've got to work it out, and you've got to warm it up. And to develop a voice that carries and projects takes time. So don't feel that the first time you get behind the microphone, you're going to be able to project like Ernest Nightingale. You're not going to.
Yeah.
But you will get better with practice, just like anything. And it's just comes with time. So don't, I guess, really record 3 just in case. But it also helps with your SEO ranking when it comes to iTunes. That's going to help you hit the new and noteworthy by having 3 when you launch. But these are all little things. The big thing is it gives you a buffer right off the get-go.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time
this has
today,
been
Tom.
excellent. So we have a word of the day. It was going to be podcast, but I have changed it since I've talked to you. It is now Quaranteam.
Oh, yes. Good one. Good one.
We're all in quarantine apart, but we're all a team together. So that's an awesome word, Tom.
Yes, that is. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's been so good having you on. I learned a lot.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having
me.
me.
And I wish you the best with your podcast and anybody watching the replay and whatnot. Definitely, subscribe to it and have a good listen. And all the information will be in the comments. So
and please feel free to reach out to me. Anything that you hear in the podcast, reach out to me. I'd love to discuss it and have a conversation about it. Anything you gain from it, anything you disagree with, I'd love to argue it because it's fun. It's a conversation. It's something more than just me speaking into a microphone. So if you disagree with me, reach out to me. If you like what I'm saying, reach out to me. Mm-hmm. If you want more information on how to do it, reach out to me. I'm available.
Awesome.
Cool. So good. So much information. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at the top of the hour and that's our half an hour. So thanks again to Tom for joining us. And tomorrow we're doing our Fun Friday, just lots of laughing. We have some pretty funny things lined up for you. So join us.
Yep.
Join us same time, same place. And everybody stay safe and take care of yourselves. And make sure you're reaching out. If you need to talk to somebody, reach out to me. It's all good. We're all here for each other. So anyways, thanks again, Tom. And we'll see you guys all tomorrow.
Team Quaranteam.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, everybody.